Indoor cycling, Zwift, racing, parenting. We cover those and all of our hopes and dreams in between. Welcome to the Talk Dirty to Me podcast, an entertaining look into the lives of everyday people trying to achieve virtual cycling glory from our basements and garages from around the world. This podcast is rooted in Zwift and has evolved into found friendships, fitness, health, and a little sprinkle of humor. This may be one of the only podcasts where a little heavy breathing shouldn't scare you away because we're riding our bikes while we're recording it.
All right, welcome everybody. We're back again. We got a special guest this week who I'll say adventure slash racer slash car gymnast.
We're going there,
Is that
huh?
appropriate?
Illustrious route
Trying to hide
Partain.
that stuff. Yeah. It is
You can't
all
hide
over.
that. It's
I
on
think
the
it's a
internet.
GIF already.
It's a
Everybody
gift,
welcome.
Yeah,
Graham.
You
Graham
made
Partain.
it.
and it's glorious. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah.
It is pretty awesome. So Graham, why don't you give us a little bit of background? Who you are, where you're from?
I am a Florida
You're a fellow
man.
Florida man.
I was saving some of that for today because I was questioning some of Sully's Florida manness. Yeah.
I'm a city boy, Graham.
Yeah, well, you still got to get your Florida man card if you're going to live here. But yeah, I grew up here in Florida, in Orlando, actually. And live up in Gainesville now. Yeah,
Mickey Mouse.
Orlando Mickey. I worked there, actually, as a kid.
Nice.
As everybody does, I guess, in Orlando. And I have family members that worked there. And my wife's dad still works there. Long story, but my birth father, I'm adopted, worked there for 50 years and just retired. And then my parents live in Orlando still.
Wow.
Yeah, he started when it opened, and just now retired. But that's a whole other interesting story.
It's a long,
Yeah, it
illustrious
is.
mouse
He's seen
career.
it all. I found him when I was about 30, so my kids got to have some fun when he was working at Magic Kingdom. They grew up not knowing normal Disney stuff. They got to cut all the lines and have one-on-one time with Mickey whenever they wanted, it seemed. But typical Florida man stuff. But I've been in Gainesville, Florida for about 10 years now. Work brought me here in the center of this swamp. And it's actually been good.
The promised
I
land.
was gonna say.
I am not a Florida fan. I did not go to UF. I went to Florida State, actually, which is kind of a weird thing for anybody who knows that rivalry. But I spent 7 years at Florida State University getting a degree. 6.5, I guess.
Are you a doctor, Graham?
Not a doctor. I don't even have my diploma. I think I own some parking tickets still. I think I was,
It's like a library fine or
You have a
something.
degree and having a good
yeah,
time.
I was good. And I was actually, at the time, I was a competitive water skier, and so I was traveling a lot. And so I went to kind of half school, half travel around and do ski stuff till my body broke down. And what eventually led me to cycling was on a training day out at the lake, I blew out my ACL, and that was a pretty painful injury. And one of the doctors I was seeing suggested I should start cycling, help build muscle around the area, keep active. And I started riding a bike in college, and found that I really enjoyed it. And
Nice.
kept doing it through the years, and I've gone through different phases. I went through a triathlete phase, which I don't talk about anymore.
Okay, scratch it off the things to talk about list, Dad.
Well, the people hanging around
Noted,
with now are kind of not exactly your triathlete types, but I got into cyclocross for a long while. I really enjoyed cyclocross. And I still do. But that's what kind of led to this adventure biking that you were talking about earlier. Is There's a guy here in town. He's kind of famous in the, I guess, gravel cycling world. Jason Mahoney, who's this Australian. I don't know how he ended up in Gainesville, but he was doing these nighttime cyclocross bike rides like 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, nice. Probably. And he would do them in the wintertime and do them at night. And it sounded interesting and good training, so I started showing up and going to those. And that was kind of the earliest phases and days of gravel riding, which has gone nuts, as you know, lately. But we were just using cyclocross bikes, and Jason and his buddies started building up what are now gravel bikes. They called them monster cross bikes, and we're like Frankensteining these cyclocross bikes and putting on bigger tires and fitting mountain bike tires on them. And it was wild. We're like, man, these bikes are crazy. You'd see a bike with 40 millimeter tires. You're like, holy cow, that's nuts. How does that work? And now, as you know, holy cow, it's all over the place. But I really think, yeah.
I was saying, my gravel bike has 50s on it. So
what? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want now, right? And that happened in the past 5 years. The acceleration of technology in the gravel industry is nuts. It's really cool because I think it's helped cycling a lot. It's hard riding a bike on the roads these days.
It's true. Hence the allure of Zwift, right? So how'd you get into dirt?
Gosh, it's probably been 3 years now, or early fall 2019. I was riding around, this is a typical story, riding around Watopia, and Sterney and I are obviously up at about the same time, East Coast, and he just pinged me. He's like, hey, you want to join this team? All dads. And just started messaging me about it. And I jumped in. I'd been on Zwift for a while. I joined right after the beta. So I'd been around Zwift for a while. And so I guess I'd been on a lot and seen my name quite a bit. So I said, sure, why not? Sounds fun. And it really changed everything about Zwift for me, sure, for everybody. I mean, the people I've met, the fun racing, the great people, the great friendships.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. We've definitely recounted that many times, and still do, still will. But, so, you, as we alluded to, you do a lot of long riding, including you just finished up a trip, right?
Something I've been planning for a while. I got into the sort of adventure biking stuff about 4 or 5 years ago. Cyclocross had kind of died down. Kids has gotten busy and started, riding more around the area, and enjoyed finding these unknown roads. And I enjoyed the challenge of finding these dirt roads nobody knew about. I mean, it was, and linking those together and creating routes that were safe and fun and interesting. And I just started doing a lot of that in my spare time. I get on my computer, man, and I start, especially Zoom calls, and start mapping things and looking at Google Earth and Google Maps and Strava heat maps, and start looking for things that might be possible new routes. And then I'd go out and check it out and try it, see if it worked and didn't. Sometimes you can't find the good roads. You don't have like Google Maps with the camera going down it, so you got to go get boots on the ground and figure it out. Started doing a lot of that, and over the years I've developed some pretty fun routes around Gainesville, and started mapping further and further east, further and further west, and that's where this route I did last week was on the west coast of Florida, where there is nothing. There's no condos, no houses. It's called the Big Bend area of Florida, and if it's exactly what it sounds like, it's that bend in the state if you look at a map.
Yeah.
And it's all wildlife management area and preserves and hunting leases. but a lot of, watch out for them. I got to tailor my rides around hunting season typically. I've had enough encounters with hunters, and they're usually okay, but I've got an bright orange, like hunter orange jersey I wear when I go out to these places for safety. And this is an area I've been looking at for a while. I've taken little side trips out there, but I linked together this big loop that went up the Suwannee River and over to the West Coast and down the West Coast, kind of near Tallahassee, all the way down towards, you just head south towards Tampa, not all that way, but it's about, 80 miles south, straight along the coast, all wildlife management area, little beach towns. And I mapped it out, 200-mile loop. But I didn't know if it worked. In theory it did, right?
Yeah.
It's part of the fun, right? Get out there and be like, oh, nope, this road is not
or you gotta,
traversable.
How many people did you take with you?
So I put it all together, had the map. I pinged a few of my close friends, like what I was doing. I knew I was going to do it in 2 days. So I didn't see, a route like that one day would be tough because you hit one obstacle and you're going to be out there for 14, 16 hours. So I just figured I'd split it up.
Yeah, it's not 200. It's not 200 fast miles either. Like you're on tarmac, like here.
No, it can get really
rolling in that sugar sand.
It can get really slow, really quick. You never know. So I pinged a few friends and had one guy that his name's Carlos. He actually does bike packing events. He's a veteran. Like he's done the Great Divide ride and all these big multi-day adventure rides. So he's a guy to stay in touch with, and he was more than happy to come with. So he joined me in Mayo, Florida. Population, I think 800.
Is that short for mayonnaise, Florida?
Fun fact, for a year, they changed their name to Miracle Whip because I guess as a marketing stunt, the people from Miracle Whip paid their state government the money, which I'm sure was used by the
whole town had a tangy zip.
Terrible Miracle Whip. Ugh. But so we started in Mayo, Florida, and just went north along the Suwannee, took my route, and it ended up being pretty awesome. Roads were perfect. Weather was good. Ended up being a really fun couple of days. The hard part was day 2. We had headwinds going south along the coast. Poor Carlos, man, got blown around. He's not used to doing slower sort of bike packing speeds. Just recently got a gravel bike, so he was getting beat up a little bit in the wind, but we got through it. I think it was about 10 hours each day on the bike. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that Graham gave us a video, which I think is also on your YouTube channel, correct? I saw his bike was pretty weighted down. A bunch of bags on it.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from what he does there. He was really helpful. So I'm hoping to do longer, more multi-day. This is the first time I've done an overnight with my bike.
Did you camp?
I did not camp.
You have a tent?
I don't camp. I'm delicate, I guess.
Do you have a hotel
it's cool.
ready
There's
for
these
you?
cabins on the West Coast. It's called Scouts Lodge. They're like little eco cabins up off the ground. We stayed there. I arranged all that beforehand, which he thought was luxurious because he camps, So I didn't have to bring camping gear, but did have to bring some extra stuff for overnights and batteries and charging things. So, it's kind of an adventure that way. Maybe eventually I'll camp, but I liked arranging it to where we had a place to stay that has showers and beds. It was really cool. It's right on the river.
What some may consider the bare necessities.
Man, yeah.
Toilet.
Yeah, that stuff. And it ended up being fantastic.
Graham, what do you do for nutrition on back-to-back 10-hour days?
That is, I just packed my bag. I had a frame bag and one other top 2 bag in my Hamelback. and I just packed a bunch of snacks in there. And we stopped at Wendy's, and then we stopped at some roadside gas station, had some gas station food, like gas station pizza. Carlos was eating chicken livers, fried chicken livers. I wasn't doing. Still,
that's not common gas station food, I don't think.
In Florida, it is.
Not around here.
Like, they had some wild stuff.
Asking for some.
Is that next to the fried gator tail?
Yeah. We're just getting calories in.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep up with it. I'm still like eating like crazy. It's funny. I've been eating for days still. I mean, I'm fine because I did the ZRL Climbers Gambit race the day before we left.
Oh.
And then did the 200-mile 2-day thing. Came back, had 1 day off, and then I had a gravel ride. I had a lead on Saturday. It was about 70 miles. We have a free ride gravel series in Gainesville. It's all around the area, and this was my event that's been on the calendar for 6 months, so I had to show up and do it. But we do free gravel rides in Gainesville like once a month, and that was my event. So I had to show up to that and do 70 more miles. Get a day off Sunday, Monday. Then I had to do ZRL yesterday, and I was smoked yesterday, man. I wasn't ready to time trial. So I'm.
Well, good thing your team has gotten, I think, every point except one in the series.
We have done pretty well, yeah. Riding Dirty is my team. There's my family. And I've been with them for a little over a year. And so I have a duty to my team. I got in there and I did it. But I'm not going to be riding my bike for a few days. It's been quite a stretch. I just can't stop eating.
I have that problem too, but I did not ride 200 miles in 2 days. So,
well, it is fun, man. I tell you, I got to know Carlos really well, even more so than I had in the past. I really got to know him, and it was really cool being with a guy like that that's super mellow and just stoked about riding bikes. He puts on all these events, these bike packing events, and charges a little bit for the routes, but he's not making a ton of money. He just does it for getting people out, getting people on bikes. It's a great dude.
He does the Cross Florida
Cross
one?
Florida was an event I did back in early January. And that was 200 miles in 1 day.
Graham, do you have a power meter
Yeah.
on that bike? Like,
Yeah.
do you know? Is it zone 2,
Yeah,
zone 1?
100%,
Like,
dude.
what's...
I'm not going to attack that, monstrosity. I mean, it's sure.
Is this like bike ride with the kids pace, or like what's
No, I mean, when we did the Cross Florida, we're averaging 14, 15 miles an hour. I mean, we had 7 guys in my group, and we just worked together. I mean, it was not Mickey Mouse pace, but we kept it smart. That was really fun. That went better than expected. All those years of Zwifting helps, I'll tell you. But that event was a combination of, I got in touch with Carlos because I had the route. Like another one of these, like, hey, I put this together. It's about 3 years ago. Like, I've got this idea of gravel across Florida, and I'd mapped out this route. But I don't want to put on an event. Like, I don't have time to deal with that. I mean, that's a whole, dealing with people and their needs. And Carlos does that. I mean, he's really good at it. And so I sent him the route, and he was stoked because he has a Florida Divide ride, which goes down the middle of Florida. He has this 350 thing called the Hurricane, which is in Ocala National Forest, which is a big forest in the center of Florida, north of Orlando. So he has all these big events. So he was stoked. He's like, man, I'd love to get into gravel events. I was like, well, here you go. Send him the course. And we started a process of, making sure it worked. We went out and rode it and changed some things, rode it. In over a year, we got it tuned in. The official launch was December 4th of this year. We did a mass start event. I didn't do the whole thing that day, but I left with the group, and we had, I think, 150 people show up to do it. And some people did the whole thing in a day. The fastest guy was 11 hours.
Dang.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. We
That's
did it
crazy.
in 14. I did it in January with 6 other guys, good friends.
Graham, what happens on these super long rides if something goes wrong? Flats, mechanicals.
Yeah, I mean,
somebody just wants to go home.
Yeah, that happens. I mean,
Starts.
it's some people, like when we did the cross Florida, we had one guy at like mile 175 that just stopped. It was dark. We were on a dark brick / sand road that was kind of sketchy. And he hit some sand and went down. And he didn't want to get back on his bike. So we had to sort of coach him through, like, hey, Chris, we got 25 miles to go, man. We're in the middle of, like, nowhere. It's super dark. Like, let's get on your bike. Let's keep going. You know, it happens. It's part of the deal. And no man left behind, right? We got him there.
Yeah.
So we were smart about it, nutrition-wise and pace-wise. I think we all looked out for each other.
And I also noticed whenever in your video you have a camelback that you're wearing. Do you generally wear a pack when you're riding that long, or do you just try and pack it all on the bike?
Depends. Like cross Florida, I did not, because I didn't need a frame bag. So it was just one day. But if I'm using a frame bag, I've got to take the bottle cage off. So I'm not big. I'm 5'6", so I don't have like a big frame. So I've got to remove one of my bottle cages to put the frame bag on. So camelback's the only other good option for a decent amount of water. And also I put some.
So it's out of necessity, not necessarily trying to keep stuff on.
Yeah, and that's the fun part is like getting fine tuning in the gear. That's a whole other sport is the gear. I leaned on Sean McAfee a little bit because he's been doing a lot of these multi-day. I mean, if you follow Sean, he tried to ride across Texas like 1,000-mile.
That's Mac Attack?
Texas a little bit wider.
Yeah, it's 1,000 miles. And he got like 600 miles in, and just his whole body was falling apart. It took him forever to recover, but Sean's been doing this stuff a while. He was helpful. You just figure out like what works. I had to get the extra Garmin battery that gives it, because you don't want you lose your routing, you're screwed, right? So I've got a 1030.
Yeah.
There's a special Garmin.
And if you
battery
can't,
pack,
if
right?
you can't post it to Strava,
I mean,
don't believe you really
I ain't
did
doing it unless I can Strava that dang thing.
Yeah, it's a,
Do you
have a battery
do you
pack
merge
that
the
charges
files
your.
later so people can see it's one ride? Or?
No, I split it up. Like this 2-day, I'd split it up. But some people I kind of like looking at the whole loop though. I thought about just stopping my Garmin so I could I could just drop the whole loop on everybody and
Just pause it.
extra kudos. Yeah. But yeah, I think next time I'd rather look at the whole loop than two pieces.
You can always put it together after the fact, like in
Yeah.
a map.
I
Wouldn't be
know
on Strava, but
it's hard looking at just one line that doesn't come back together. It's that OCD mapping thing
Yeah.
I've got.
I get that.
It's pretty common, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Amongst our individuals, anyway. There's a
Graham,
level of OCD we all have.
So was most of this just born out of a desire to stay off the
Yeah,
road?
I've lost friends, to being hit by cars. And I think what really shifted it for me, I had a really good friend here in Gainesville who was an elite mountain biker, dad, just all around great guy. And we're just on a back road. What I would have thought would be it's a road I ride all the time. Was hit from behind, and that was it. And that really shook up everybody in town because everybody knew Sean. And and the other painful part of that was the guy that hit him Like he just claimed, oh, I didn't see him, it was an accident, and nothing happened. It's pretty clear the law is on the driver's side. I mean, if you want to kill somebody, hit him with a car in Florida. Like he got 6 months suspended license, $500 fine. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's not uncommon. I mean, I've been around this long enough to know, like I had a friend when I lived in Claremont 15 years ago, same thing. He was riding in a bike lane, big bike lane. Some 85-year-old woman just drifted into the bike lane, killed him. What are you going to do to an 85-year-old woman? I mean, put her in jail, I mean, I don't know, but, they didn't do anything to her either. She didn't lose her license. So it's,
wow.
I'm not going to be a martyr for cycling. I'm really not interested in that. I love my kids. I love my family. My daughters are 11 and 13. I got to be responsible. And so when that happened to Sean, a lot of people in town sold their road bikes. Like, they're like, I'm out, and just bought gravel bikes. And that brought a lot of people closer to me because I'd already kind of gone that way. And we just started planning these events. That's where this free ride gravel series came from. And people just started coming towards getting off the road. It's scary out there. And so it's, the better option is quiet dirt roads. And it's really made a difference and renewed my desire to ride bikes. It really has. I mean, I felt pretty defeated when Sean died, but what was born out of it has been, a whole new part of my life, really, of just seeking these wild places. Like, you watched the video from last week, and it was a Wednesday and Thursday. It's cool. I got like this time off in the middle of the week and went for it. It's beautiful out there, man. It's just way more memorable and exciting. I mean, you see all kinds of stuff.
When you're not worried about guys, trying to break up the group or go off at 450 watts. You're just out there riding.
Yeah, it's peaceful,
right?
And that's the key is, like, I started looking over my shoulder riding on the roads a lot, just watching for the next car. Even though I had the radar and all that stuff, dude, I was looking over my shoulder a lot. I wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah, I know here locally, like when I do ride outside, it's usually gravel because my brother and I both ride. And the route that we have is, there's you'll see one car. That's it.
Right. Where do you live?
It's so much safer. Missouri, Cape Girardeau, Missouri. We're right on the river, so we actually hop over to Illinois and ride the levee roads over there.
Graham, is there no gravel around me, or have I just not discovered it?
Cape is hard. There are, if you go north a little bit, there's, I think, Starkey, and there's some stuff, but Tampa's pretty well paved. You got to go out of town to find, I think, a lot of it. We're down towards Sarasota. That's a good thing about Gainesville is it's just a university town. We're surrounded by.
Gainesville's nuts, though. It's getting developed so
No,
much.
it's Florida,
right now.
man. Everybody's coming here. It makes no sense that we're building this many houses. It's just people are moving to Florida and they're looking for any place to land.
It's probably the weather, right?
Yeah, and people like to know rules.
Anything
no
goes
COVID.
in Florida.
Yeah,
Florida
no COVID. Rules. We got the COVID wall. Yeah. It's free and safe. DeSantis has protected us.
Hey, Graham, are you still thinking about doing one of the big gravel rides out west? Is that still on the bucket list or plans?
Yeah, I've been signed up for Unbound with Kansas since 19. Of course, that got canceled and booted to the next year. So I'm finally going to do it this year, I think. Been training for that for 3 years now. So I'll be going out there in June.
I think Scotty K is doing it too.
Is he?
Yeah, he got his.
Yeah, he got picked in the lottery to do it.
I think we have one more, but I don't remember who it is. Somebody that was new.
Yeah, there's a guy from Georgia going, Kevin Kevin Regan, I believe. I'm sure there'll be a contingency of dirt bros.
Of dirt. Yeah.
Graham, how do you train for these long rides? I mean, obviously, Zwift racing is
Climber's Gambit.
like an hour long of high intensity is maybe not what you would choose.
It's complementary. It really is complementary to the standpoint how strong it's made me. Because Florida is so flat, you just constantly pedal, much like Zwiftland. And then the weekends, I go out and do long rides. I've been doing Saturday. I have a couple of people I regularly ride with, and because nobody wants to get up. Like I'll leave my house 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning. And there's a couple of people that would do that. One of them being Mark Ridings, who's another dirt, who I met through Zwift, by the way.
I'll ride with you.
Dad rides at 3:30. So if he was in Florida,
yeah, it's great, but there's not a lot of people that do that.
Totally be down.
So I've got my trusted crew, and we go out and ride for 5, 6, 7 hours, Saturdays, Sundays. So been sort of up and down with the long rides, but kept it pretty consistent Saturdays. You've done one with me, Sully.
See, that's the hard
Sully
thing.
came up for a New Year's Day ride.
I was going to say,
we did the New Year's Day ride, and then we did that dirt meetup with Suze.
Yeah.
Yep, Suze was up here for my event on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Mark came too. There were some dirts hanging. Suze is so strong.
And Suze is...
yeah.
Who is Suze? For those who don't know her. I.e. me.
Who did she ride with? She rode with us like twice.
Yeah, she's with
Rascals.
Rascals.
She rides with the Rascals.
There you go.
She rides Zone 3 with the Rascals, and she, I think she's just north of me. Just north of Tampa.
She's a CPA in Tampa, and does all kinds of long, crazy rides. And she's with races with dirt.
Yeah.
Now, I also believe that she and I share a gravel bike, which is kind of a unique bike.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I think I've messaged her before.
Yeah, she's got a beautiful bike.
She has like a quiver of bikes.
We don't. Let me rephrase that. We don't share a bike. We have the same bike.
You each have your own bikes.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, she was showing us pictures. She had gone up and done Bentonville, I think, Graham.
All by herself,
just
for days. She told me the story. She had to go through a river carrying her bike over her head because they'd been washed out.
She was like researching like pro cyclists that had done gravel around there, like just looking at their trails and then trying to recreate them.
Yeah, she's
in Bentonville, Arkansas.
Yep,
she's quite an adventurer.
The land of the Kelso.
The land of the Kelso.
He who must not be named.
He can be named.
Okay.
He just can't be here.
He came once.
No, he's been here 3 times maybe.
They've been memorable every time he's been here. I'll say that.
Should we talk about how Graham was the first one here and I was the second one today?
Sure.
Yes.
You know why I was the first one here? It's funny. I was listening to y'all's podcast from the one with the animals. It was hilarious, by the way.
Yes.
The animal names.
The zoo.
My little dog sleeps in our bed, and that little jerk woke me up at like 4 a.m.
I feel your pain, Graham.
Like, walks over to me and starts like licking my face, licking my pillow.
At least he didn't dry heave in your
That sounded
face.
terrible. It was so frustrating because now I'm up.
Yeah.
He had to go pee. Took him out. He wants to play. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm up. What now?
Your dog must be much younger than
He
mine.
is.
Greg, do you have a dog?
I
like that.
I would have a dog, but my wife is like, no, we got 2 kids. I don't want a dog.
Smart.
Yes, that's where we're at. Graham and Dot, did y'all grow up with dogs?
Yes.
I did, sort of.
Yeah, same here. I had dogs growing up.
We had a dog when I think it was about 8 when we got our first dog. And since then, I mean, my mom has 5 dogs right now. Yeah.
Now that her Dottie's gone?
Yeah, I have 2. That's enough for the record. Anyone who's looking to get a dog, Greg, whoever.
See my
no more than 2. Save yourself.
My parents said no my whole life. So when my kids got old enough, I said no because I've got 3 kids. I don't need a dog. But like, kids are devious. My oldest son, who has never believed, like, got real close to Santa this year and was like, Santa, I just want a dog. He was like looking at me like, can you believe my dad won't give me a dog?
Oh,
That's hilarious.
I'm like, you don't need, like, get out of here.
Santa, my dad won't get me a dog.
Scammer.
He doesn't love me.
Could you do it for me?
I'll tell you, don't get a puppy, because I haven't had a puppy since I was a kid. So I forgot what that was like. I would have been easier to have a 3rd child than have that dang puppy in our house. It was horrible, man.
The better advice is don't get a puppy in the winter.
oh yeah.
Because that is the worst. Although you guys in Florida don't probably experience it to the extent that like Greg does.
Winter's over here.
One of my colleagues got a puppy, golden, like 3 weeks ago, and
Horrible time.
yeah. She's like, and then I don't know, starting 2 weeks ago, we had like a foot of snow back to back, and so she's like, "This, I did not plan this correctly." I'm like, "No, you did not plan this correctly."
Bad timing.
Summer puppies
No
only.
puppies. No puppies.
We also have a golden retriever, and we got her in July, and that was probably best case scenario. However, we also had an 18-month-old child and a new baby.
Oh man.
So, yeah, actually, I want to say Parker was probably older than that, so maybe we waited a little bit.
You've got young kids.
But yeah, my daughter just turned 4, and my son is 2.5.
It's fun. I'm just happy when my 14-year-old daughter smiles at me. It's a rare occurrence. I'm like, look, sweetie, look, she smiled. I swear that was a smile. Yeah, then she darts back into her room.
And you were talking about your long days Saturday. Like, I'd love to be able to do that, but I just feel so guilty, like leaving for an entire day with little kids. I mean, that's such a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, if I leave at 5 in the morning, I'm home by 10. You know, and the kids now are old enough where they dress themselves, and it's a different thing. They sleep till like 10.
Yeah, different season of life.
That's the border.
Sure.
Yeah, we still have kids' sports on Saturday mornings, and like to meet Graham in Gainesville, I gotta get up at like 4.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What did you say? You get up at 4?
Once.
Once.
I get up at 4:30 every Thursday. Huh?
That's true. It's not true.
Yeah, I'll give you a squint side eye for that.
I don't get up at 4:30 every Thursday for our 5:15 PTT.
Then, all right, I'll just ask why do you log on at
time's your alarm
5:07 sometimes?
He's getting ready.
Because we all know there's things that have to happen before.
Magic.
Right.
Magic happens. Are you guys all on the same TTT team?
We have been.
These guys all went and promoted to B. Greg just promoted to B. It was a big day.
Fearful.
This is
somebody.
I've been a B for about 2 years.
Okay.
And one of our
Greg's been a B for 2 years, and somebody was like, "Hey, when did Greg promote to B?" Like, I'm so happy for him. It's like,
Where you been?
I've made such an impression as a B.
Well, so basically, we're gonna give it a run tomorrow for World Championships, and then we'll.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll probably ride Frappe.
Yeah. I can't tell you how excited I am for that. By the way, getting the band back together.
Well, Eat Dirt is.
Now, Graham, do you? Go ahead.
The whole Eat Dirt universe is like, you guys were one of the first to create your own server and just grow into another animal. I mean, it's amazing what that's
literally animal.
Yeah.
It's crazy though, because there's so many other groups in Zone 3, but like I think Dirty Watts had 16 teams.
Really?
I don't know if that was for Tuesday or Thursday.
Gracious.
Might have been for Tuesday, but
16?
yeah, it's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, 1-6.
I mean, Rascals is
That's too many.
We've got
there's just zones where nobody else is organizing, and it's so much easier to organize a large mass
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
one or two teams, in my opinion.
Because your worst case scenario is you're going to have you're going to have too many people and not have everybody ride, which fortunately we haven't run into, right? I say we.
Well, you just divide the teams.
Yeah.
Small. Like when you have that many teams, not all of them are competing for the top, so it doesn't really matter if you have 6 or 7 or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
yeah.
It's just to get people out and ride.
Yeah, it's funny because I bounced around with you and Rascals and a few other teams for a while.
Well, that's when Mark was making
Yeah.
you ride at night.
My original TTT team was Mark Ridings, which is my other Florida man friend who lives in Gainesville. It's funny because I started riding with him and some other people. I'm like, hey, where are you from? He's like, oh, Florida. Like, where? Like Gainesville. I'm like, dude, it was like right around the corner. So now we ride together all the time.
Wait, I think I always assumed you guys
No.
knew each
Yeah.
other.
He's one of my internet friends, my wife likes to call him. Now,
Incredible.
That's what all of our wives call us.
well, we're having a riding dirty get together up in Georgia in early April, and
Nice.
yeah, and it's so funny.
So the Florida man goes to the
So
mountains.
we got
It's like an episode.
we got a few of us from Florida, like Don Bly. It's coming. He's in Tampa.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought Don was on your team.
Yeah, and then we got a bunch of group guys from Pennsylvania coming down.
Yes.
It's crazy,
when-
like how important these guys have become to, I don't know, my life in a way, like real friends. Some of them I've met a lot of them in real life. Everybody comes to Florida, so
I think you might be like the leader in dirt in real life meetups.
I think
think?
so. I've had the most encounters in
Yeah.
real life. I think
Based on photographs, I would say yes.
it's a lot.
I love that you call them
Yeah.
encounters.
They've all been great.
In fact, Drew is here. Drew is in Palm Harbor right
yeah?
now.
That's why he's
But
not
he's
on the
scared.
podcast.
He's scared to come visit me because the only car they have over there is a $120,000 Mercedes, and they're scared to
What?
drive it.
And it's not his.
Drive it.
Yeah, it's not his.
It's his
Yeah, it's even
father-in-law's.
better.
That's God. I didn't even plan that, but what a great segue to Graham's illustrious
Okay.
racing career.
Man.
Drive it like you stole it. Go, Graham.
Yeah. I've always wanted to race cars as a kid. My parents said that was a horrible idea. You'll never do it. It's too dangerous. But
You showed
turns
them.
out you can. Yeah, it's funny. When I was about 40, I had a friend of mine who was going to the track with his daily driver. And I was like, what do you mean you're going to the track?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, I go drive around the track with my car. Like, that's a thing? Has that always been a thing? So I immediately sold my car, bought a M3. At the time was a V8 2011 M3 BMW, which was,
Nice.
might as well jump right in to something like that. The thing was angry.
Head first.
Yeah. I started going to the track with him. Kind of snowballed from there. Yeah, and I found I really liked it, and I spent a few years doing these track days, getting coaching, and then went to racing school. Went to 2 racing schools just to learn the craft. And the more I got into it, the more I loved it. It's really like my favorite thing. And I started to figure out how to keep doing it and keep it affordable. It's not easy to do with racing, but
Did you go to racing school in Florida or anywhere
yeah,
else?
it was actually, and you can do it anywhere, but there's different groups that do it. My first racing school was with a outfit called Skip Barber. Oh,
Okay.
Dad. And they provide the car, and you pay to come for like 3 days, and it's in class and on the track, practicing the concepts and learning how to race and race safely. Learn about the gear. There's a lot of safety and gear involved, which is really important. And then I bought my fully first fully prepped built race car from another racer.
Okay.
$5,000, 1986 924. If you're familiar with that, it's the smaller version of the 944 Porsche.
Yeah.
And it was a piece of junk. But that was perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I went to my first race at Sebring.
As long as the engine works.
It did, man. And I had an outfit I was with.
And the seatbelt.
Fully belted in like an infant. Like you get strapped in, you know.
Pumpkin seat.
With the belts, you're in there.
5 point.
Hans device, just the whole stuff, the whole thing. Race suit, fire suit. They won't let you on track until you have all the safety, and your car gets inspected before it's allowed to race. And so, thankfully, this thing was built, big metal cage around you, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Started racing. It was the scariest day of my life, almost, or the most thrilling was rolling up to the starting grid of my first race at Sebring. And it's not your normal track day. Everybody's out to win, right? And and taking the green flag like they do in NASCAR, you come around start finish and they start waving the green flag and like off you go. There's no friends on the track, man. People, people are trying to win. And that was really exciting. But my legs were shaking rolling up the grid my first time. Like, holy cow. And I still love that feeling of rolling up the grid. I've been racing now for about 6 years. I sold that $5,000 car because it wasn't holding together. And that 924 is notorious for falling apart. We were constantly fixing it. So I bought a 1998 Boxster that was fully built, which is that first generation Boxster, and started racing that, and it's much more reliable. The engine's awesome, and the car's been great.
Now I do have two questions for you that may or may not blow your mind. The first of which is it true that rubbing is racing?
It's not.
Follow-up question. If you're not first, are you truly last?
Rubbing is not supposed to be racing, not with the group like amateur racing. Like, we're all trying to bring our cars home in one piece. I have been hit and I have rubbed other cars, but, there's repercussions for that. You have too many incidents, they'll kick you out.
Okay.
They don't want a lot of crashing. Nobody wants that. I had one guy hit me in the door real hard once, late breaking into a turn. And, he was actually really nice, and you don't have to do this, but he offered to pay to fix my car. Accidents happen. He was not intentional. And I've had guys run me off the road, and that's not pleasant either. And those guys get dealt with. The aggressive driving is really not tolerated in amateur racing because, we're racing for trophies, right? I mean, it's
right.
You're right. You're not racing for a prize purse or anything.
Your salary's not dependent.
Yeah, so it's highly regulated, from the standpoint of, you're not gonna like hit people on purpose and get away with it. I know racers in particular that have been banned from certain racing groups for doing that, which is good, that's what it should be. And if you're not first, I guess you're last.
So that is true. You can't confirm.
I can't.
There's no podiums.
Yeah, it is.
No 200-mile gravel ride.
No, there's not. There's not. There's a lot of cheeseburgers, which are glorious.
And cheeseburgers. I mean, that in and of itself is worth it for me, I think.
And it really is the joy of being out there for me. I've gotten the chance to race Daytona now, and quite frequently because it's so close. And I think I was in like 4th place driving around the high banks of Daytona, with tears in my eyes. I was so happy, because it's an experience I never thought I'd have. And the fact that I got to do that and continue to get to do that really brought me a lot of joy. So,
awesome.
It's not every day I'm going to take home, because I've won some races, but it's just I can't forget the joy of the privilege of being able to do things that I love, like riding my bike and doing the car stuff. it's really cool. My wife lets me. She's great. So I try to balance that as much as I can. Like if there's a kid event, that takes precedent over anything. Like my daughter's swimming now. So the only time I really get away to race is if there's absolutely nothing else happening. Right. And my wife releases me.
Now, is there a form of racing that you'd be like, drop of a hat, you're like, yeah, I want to do that. I'll do that now. I want to do that bucket list race.
Yeah.
Like Formula One.
Yeah, well, I'll never. Formula One's, budget-wise, is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's like $1 million endeavor.
Yeah, so
I think Grand Prix of St. Pete is this weekend.
And they have a category that races that during those races. It's Global MX5, which is the newer version of the Miatas. They're all evenly prepped MX5s. That racing I would love to do. And that's actually kind of attainable. It'd still be expensive, but that's more everyday guy. I know some guys that race that series, and they race the St. Pete circuit when they're not running the Indy cars. They're kind of in between races. I'd love to do that, but that's probably not happening.
Not anytime soon.
No, it's just too expensive, and I can't go travel around. Like I just can't. My family's too important right now. I can't travel the world selfishly. I got daughters that need a dad around, and so I've made that my priorities. And that's part of like my friend group with dirt. Is riding dirty guys, man. They're all the same way. We all kind of have that same mentality. Family first. It's amazing, like the quality of guys I'm really, like in friendship with through, riding dirty. We're constantly on, Discord messaging each other, or if there's a loss. Like one of our guys, his father passed away, and we sent him food and sent a lot of heartfelt messages, and we're there for him. And I see that happen anytime something happens within the group. Everybody sort of circles around. It's crazy. I never thought friendships like that could be developed, through a game. But I'm sure all of you have experienced that.
Yeah.
Every day. Yeah.
I think I
don't say there's a day that goes by that the three of us, Drew, Truesdale, like we're all in Kelso, we're all messaging each other every day.
Yeah. Stupid stuff, serious stuff.
All the time.
Yeah.
I mean, Miller is the king of stupid and serious stuff in his little universes.
100%.
It's stupidly serious.
Took me a while to figure out Keith Miller. I think I got it figured out a little bit.
They wanted to bring Miller back on the podcast. I was like, whoa, we have other people we can talk to.
You don't have to say.
Like let's talk.
You don't have to say they.
Let's talk to Graham.
You can call me out.
I was going to say that was not a plural sponsorship.
I did not have a mouse in my pocket.
Well, I was really honored you guys thought of me. I'm very fond of Sully. I've gotten to know him over the years. He's another example of a dad that I like to look up to is from a leadership standpoint. Just another one of these great dirt guys.
Yeah.
Once I get my tires figured out, I'm going to figure out how to get bigger than 32s on this bike.
We'll take you across Florida next year. They're doing it again. Across Florida, it's going to be an annual event now. Nice. December 3rd. Awesome. Bring your orange jersey.
Sully, you can try out the 50s when you come up in April.
You guys getting together?
That's the bike he'll be on.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah, I have a conference in Louisville at the end of April. And so we have a few guys in Kentucky and surrounding areas. So one of them has like a lake house and a spot where I guess people can hook up their campers and all kinds of stuff. So we don't have a mansion in the mountains like riding dirty.
I know. Have you seen that place we're staying?
We got some home cooking.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was wondering. I think it might be the same weekend even. 'Cause ours is like second weekend of April.
I think it's April 20.
Oh, is it?
22nd?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
23rd, maybe.
Yeah, ours is the first week. Yeah, it's really grown into something. Holy cow, the house we rented is on a lake, 15 rooms or something, hot tubs, pools.
gonna say that's not a house, that's a mansion.
It is. It's huge. So excited.
It's a hotel.
I've started mapping out routes from the house. They all look like Harrogate. It's all like just steep little climbs up and down. Some of these guys have been on like Daniel. I don't think he's ridden outside ever. I don't know. We have to keep an eye on.
I think Don's only been on
Yeah.
bridges.
Don's coming around. He's not like an outside. They're like, we're gonna have to keep an eye on some of these guys. So yeah, it'll be funny getting Daniel on a bike. His bike, his like actual road bike, is just an old frame he bought. He didn't even buy wheels for it, I think. He has a kicker bike now, but his bike wouldn't even work outside. I think he had like no wheels for it. It just was on a thing, just a frame with components. So it's pretty funny, man. It's gonna be fun getting everybody out.
So he has like an N minus 0.5.
Yeah, it's half a bike.
Yeah.
The kicker bike was perfect for him.
That's kicker bike is half a bike, really. I mean, it's no wheels.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the next step. You guys have one?
God does.
Yeah.
That does.
It's I love it.
It's the ultimate.
You know? Yeah, I mean, no fuss. Just hop on it and go. Although I have been having Bluetooth dropouts, so that's
Oh,
another frustrating, but entirely off
Flames
subject.
Zwift. Oh, God, Zwift. Get it together.
It's the best and the
It
worst.
is.
Well, Greg,
What?
it seems to be around that time.
Oh, man.
Where we normally get an update.
Yeah. All right. That's right. We're returning to New York Times naughtiness to discuss how New York Times has ruined the Wordle game for everyone.
Has it changed?
Yeah. Last week we discovered that New York Times had, and then we discussed this in some detail, had altered the word list to remove what it determined to be uncommon or very uncommon words, as well as words that it deemed offensive.
Oh.
Yeah. This week, myself and I think a couple of other regular Wordlers got kicked, or in the past week, we got kicked off of the legacy website. I think Walt, I got refreshed, mandatory refreshed onto the New York Times site. I think that just happened to, I think it was Walt, or maybe it was Ian. I can't remember. And then in the meantime, none of this has done anything to allay Steve Bonica's concerns that the New York Times is part of a evil conspiracy, a dark cabal to ruin his life with misinformation and the spoilage of word games. And I don't know, Graham, if you're a regular, if you Wordle on a regular basis or not.
Every day. Don't miss it. We have our own little posting in Rod and Dirty about our daily Wordle struggles.
Yeah. Have you noticed any changes in difficulty? Steve Bonica, again, chief conspirator theorist, is very much convinced that the New York Times, in addition to removing words that are offensive and uncommon, has also made it harder for him on purpose. So I don't know if
Is that because they removed his starter word?
Is he blaming the Russians for this, or what? I mean, who's behind it?
I don't know.
It's always the Russians.
Always the Russians.
I don't know where Steve stands on Russia.
No, let's not go there. It's too complicated.
Ukraine, it's a mess.
I personally love the fact that you used the word cabal.
Cabal.
Oh, yeah.
It's so accurate. It is.
It's that's a good word.
Yeah. 100%.
I haven't heard that word probably since Mortal Kombat.
The playable character
Tells you
cabal
my
with
culture.
a K.
That's right.
Yeah, that's been a while. So anyway, that's your New York Times naughtiness for the week. And we'll check
Thank you as always.
check
Greg.
in next week and see what's happened. Also, I know Drew's not here to provide us with Drew's reviews, but he did message me something on Saturday morning while he was watching Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3, yeah.
And I cannot remember what he messaged me, so that's your Drew's review.
We'll have a special shout out
What a
to
segment.
Drew's mom as well.
Yeah.
I messaged Drew separately and said, hey, make sure your mom watches. We don't want our female viewership to drop by 50% just in 1 week.
Hey, Drew's mom, keep listening.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Hey, do your
Or
wives
watching.
know you do this? I mean, do you guys tell your wives, or you just act like you're doing another ride? They haven't seen you doing a podcast?
So
It's a great question.
my wife was on the Peloton next to me most of the
Okay.
podcast.
My wife knows because I have to edit them in front of her.
Oh, shame.
My wife knows, but I think doesn't really grasp the extent.
How famous
So-
you are now?
Well, just that I'm
She's like,
actually
Rick,
doing
there's
it
like
every
5
week
people.
and bothering to pay attention.
And that
Correct,
people
and
listen.
that people listen.
Yeah.
At some point, I have to say, like, more than 3 people are listening to this. Her only question
Weekly.
was, do you say embarrassing things about our family or yourself on the podcast? And I was like, myself sometimes.
all the time.
Sometimes.
Yep.
Only to help
Fair
others.
game.
Yes.
I only talk about
right.
our family when people need to hear about it to help them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But my wife can only hear what I'm saying. She can't hear what anybody else is saying. So
There's been a couple times where I'm waiting for like a hand to reach over,
Mute the
turn
microphone.
the mic off or something. Hasn't happened yet.
Smack him on the head. So I didn't tell my wife about this. I usually,
She's gonna find out.
I'm sure she will. You know, by now, it won't surprise her. I'm a bit of a
I think-
handful.
My wife has just like resolved herself to the fact that like I'm an uber nerd, and these are the
you
things
need
I
some
do.
creative
Yeah.
outlets.
This is a natural consequence of that.
I
It
think
is.
so. It's a progression, really. I mean, it starts with getting up at 3:40 in the morning,
Oh,
then start talking to a bunch of dudes online,
Yeah.
and the next thing you know, you're recording a podcast with them. You know, it's like
All right.
it's natural.
This is kind of like the same thing you do every day, except it's recorded.
it is.
It's 100% true. In fact, we could probably wrap this up and go hang out with the rest of them.
Just say good morning to Miller before we time out.
Yeah. Graham, I want to say thanks for joining us, man. I know it's
Yeah.
always fun to have new faces on here and hear stories and flip cars. So,
Oh, yeah. We didn't even get into that.
well, maybe there'll be an episode 2. We'll talk about what you're going through.
It wasn't my car. We'll just say that. The car that flipped, it wasn't mine,
It's even better.
but I was driving it. Check the gift.
Yeah.
Were you then responsible
we
for it?
worked it out.
off the books. Settled out of court. All right. Well, until
Thanks,
next
guys.
time, everybody.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
Appreciate having me.
See ya.
Well, because I was listening intently to your
Bonus crocodile
podcast a
segment.
couple weeks ago about the animals and everybody getting their animal names. And somebody asked, "Is there crocodiles in Florida?" And Sully said, "No." And I was upset. It's like misinformation about Florida. I was like, "What?" I immediately got in Discord and sent a message. I'm like, "There are
Infuriating.
crocodiles in Florida, Sully. If you're a real Florida man, you would have known that."